All right, there we go. Sliding on in, it came. Hey, welcome back to the ONG Strike Zone. Brian, Kelvin, and hey, it's good to
Ain't got
have
no
Kofi
one,
Hemingway
yeah. I
back
don't
with
care
us.
me, y'all.
And it's a pleasure
It
to have
again, it
on
again.
our head softball coach, Coach Camise Patterson. First off, Coach, welcome and congratulations on taking over the role of the head coach. How you doing this evening?
Oh, thank you very much. But I'm doing great. I'm doing awesome. How are y'all doing?
Hey, we're blessed. We're doing well, doing well. Good to be here with
She was
you.
trying to get that little Respucia thing going. She was like, "How you doing?" That's what she was trying to do. How you doing? All right, we doing all right. How you doing?
I had to throw it back. You asked me, I had to throw it back to you.
All right,
There
that'll
you
work.
go.
All right. Hey, so Coach Patterson, you've been a part of the program for this, a few years now. Talk a little bit about your journey into this role, and what are some things you were there with Coach Wiggins, and maybe some things that you're hoping to take from the past and sort of make your own as you take over this program and put us back on that winning track of winning championships now in the SWAC.
Yeah. So I actually came down here in 2016. So I was part of that 2016-2017 championship, MEAC championship team. I was a volunteer to start off with, so I wasn't getting paid. I was working 4 a.m. to 12 p.m. Then I come from training and I go straight to the field, and Coach Wiggins would have us there till 10 o'clock at night if she could. So I really put in the time that first year, and then after that, I got promoted to the paid assistant. Then I was there under Coach Wiggins for another 2 years. I left for 8 months and came right back. I went to the school down the street and it didn't feel like home, so I had to come back to the Rattler Nest, and been here since then. So thank God for COVID. It got me out of a bad situation and brought me back home. So I've been here since then, and then getting appointed as the head coach this year has just been nothing short of a blessing. So
Mm-hmm.
there's definitely a lot of things in the past that need to be brought back. Not only with winning, we got to win. Like that's first and foremost. We got to win. But alumni relationships, we got to reestablish those connections. A lot of them were lost with the transition from Coach Wiggins to the previous head coach, and then to me. And then with COVID, we know that COVID affected a lot of dollars, and so our giving was down. But that doesn't mean that our alumni relationships can suffer as well. So that's definitely two things I want to be right. We got to win, and we got to have our alumni support.
Well said. Go ahead, Kelvin.
So I'm gonna get back with my second question to the whole operation side, but I kind of want you to talk about the team right now. What do you think we are? Are we? Are you? Are you? Do you think the team is where we need to be at this point in the season? I want to know also about your depth with your pitching staff, what you have returning and what you added and so forth, and then your outlook for the season.
Well, we have a smaller team this year. We only have 18 players. We're 18 strong, but we're only 18. In the future, I want to have between 24, 25 players on the roster. That way we have more depth at each position, especially at our pitchers and our catcher positions. But right now, where we're at, we look good. Like, I'm not going to lie to y'all. Coach Wiggins came out to our last scrimmage last Saturday, and she had an opportunity to see us. And then, of course, I had the chance to talk to her Saturday and Sunday about how she felt, what she do differently, because she is my mentor. And based off what she said we look good. So I think that we're ready for this first trip. I know we're ready for this first trip. I'm excited to go ahead and get started, because once we get going, y'all, it's going all the way to the house. We're taking it all the way to the championship game. And as far as pitchers, we are three strong right now. We had a couple key injuries at the pitcher position. With the transition, we had one of our freshman pitcher who was actually supposed to come in this year decided to not come in. She went to a different university because it took a little while for them to make the decision with the head coaching position. But even with that, the pitchers that we have, we got two seniors, two very strong seniors, big starters. Both of them are our aces. Then we have a sophomore pitcher who had a chance to develop more, get more in tune with the speed of our game at the college level last year. So she's ready. So even with three, we should be able to take it all the way to the championship, like I said before. And with those three, they all had different attributes. So one's going, she's going to throw a little bit of junk. The other one's going to bring it fast across the plate. And another one, she's going to keep you on your toes. So with those three, we're having a good mix. Also, them changing up our conference schedule where we only play one game a day is definitely going to be in our advantage.
Okay, one more follow up to that. Your batting strategy, your offense side. I know we've done a lot of slap, bunt type hits. I don't. Do we still have that kind of makeup, or do we have a little more diversity in it? Do we have any power? Talk about that side.
Oh, we definitely have more diversity. In the past, it has been a lot of slappers. My first year here, I think we had 4 slappers in the lineup. Second year, we had 6. And for me, that's great because we do love speed. It's really hard to teach speed, but you can coach it well. But we got some power hitters. We got some girls who's gonna be hitting some over the fence. We switched sponsors from Rawlings to Easton because they have the better bats. They have the hotter bats. It doesn't take as long for them to get hot during the season. So making that switch over to a better bat is definitely going to help us hit more home runs. And then we're a gap-to-gap hitting team. So I expect to see a lot of doubles, a lot of triples. We still have that speed, but having that power is going to be key for us this year. So you should see us doing a couple of different things as far as when we're up to bat at the plate. As far as putting things in motion, bunts, slaps, but also that big long ball because we got to hit. Like, if we don't hit, we don't win.
I got you.
All right. Kofi, what do you got?
Well, I mean, you're just getting here, so I know. I mean, you're not just getting here, but you talked about how the slowness of the decision affected the roster somewhat. Um, every coach has to deal with adversity on some level. What do you see in terms of right now? What is your desire in terms of like needs specific or like right now needs for your team?
Well, there's a couple of right now needs. The first thing is we got to finalize the paperwork to go ahead and get the assistant coach in. It's been taking a little while. We know how FAMU is. It takes a little while for things to go through the process. So we've been being patient. Thankfully, she's been able to show up to practices, but she hasn't been able to be in the office yet. With the understanding that she's going to be here full time. So that's the first thing. Second thing is the NCAA just approved for softball, for Division I softball, to have 4 paid coaches. Right now, we
Mm,
have a head coach, an assistant coach, and they just told me we have a part-time assistant coach. So we have to figure out a way to either fundraise, get booster donations, something, so that we can make sure we have 4 full-paid not part-time, but full-time assistant coaches on our staff. Because if we want to compete at the next level, we talk about SWAC championships. That's great, but there's so much more beyond that. We don't just want to be great in our conference. We want to compete with these bigger teams. We want to be able to go to FSU and know that we have the same staff, the same, at least close to the same resources that they have to be able to not only provide an experience for the student athletes, but also so we can win. The more coaches you have on hand, the easier it is to focus on your area, and the easier it is for us not to have to stay in the office as much. We actually get to coach softball, which is what these bigger schools are doing. So my first thing is let's go ahead and let's see if there's a way that we can get some boosters to donate, that we can get, the Alumni Association to donate so that we can make sure we have that permanent third coach, which will be our second assistant, and potentially either a part-time or full-time third coach or third assistant coach.
What would you say the number is that you're looking that would be needed to go to that next level? What's the number?
Number as far as donation dollars
Yeah,
or as far
I don't
as
want to put
number of coaches?
necessarily put a cap, but what are we looking at?
I mean, I would say, based on the stats that come out every year for our association, our coaches association, right now the SWAC is nowhere near it. We don't compare to what other conferences are paying, besides MEAC. So if we stay within our SWAC and we say typically what we're going to pay an assistant coach anywhere from, you know, the low assistant coaches all the way up to maybe what I was getting paid as an assistant coach. For 2 full-time positions, we're looking at anywhere from 60 to $80,000, which to me is not that's not that much money. That's a couple of boosters saying, you know what, instead of giving to football, let's give to softball. Instead of giving to basketball, let's go give to the women's sports. And I have to plug it because today is National Women and Girls in Sports Day. And so, we have to start looking at how can we make sure we're supporting all of athletics, not just our big three, men's basketball, women's basketball, and football, because we have a lot of women's sports and small sports who can do more with that $15,000 that you're going to give to football or basketball than they could do with it. Like 15,000 for us goes way, way, way larger and way farther than maybe what you would do with, kids on a football team.
Boy, she
Thank you.
good. She good. Sell it, coach.
Hey, Coach hits all the talking points. Look, I was going to ask one question, but since you mentioned it, I'll transition to what you brought up. Of course, today, I saw you were a part. I don't know if you were necessarily on the panel, but I think you were there for the National Girls and Women's in Sports Day panel that was over at FAMU DRS, correct?
Yes, I was there.
Okay. So talk for those who didn't get a chance to see or hear. Talk a little bit about that impact of being there, and what does the future look like when you think back to 20 years for yourself and your road to being a head coach now, and you look at these young ladies, or more importantly, you look at those young faces that you saw at FAMU DRS today. What do you see, and where do you hope the next, let's say, 5 to 10? We won't go too far, but let's just talk 5 to 10. Everything seems to move fast these days. So, what does the next
Okay.
5 to 10 look like?
Well, the first thing, it was an amazing event. Shout out to our AD, Tiffany Sykes, for putting it on. Shout out to Rhea Floyd for making sure that it went smooth sailing. We had everything we needed there. But to be able to see our current players interact with the current DRS kids, current DRS women, young ladies, was amazing, because those young ladies, they're looking up at our softball players, at our basketball players, track athletes, and they're wondering how to get to the next level. They're wondering what their life is like. They're wondering, how do they do what they do every single day? And so for us to be able to go down the hill, talk to them, for me to get a chance to talk to the new softball coach down there and just see what they need and how we can make sure we're bridging that gap between what they're lacking and what maybe we have that's old and but still, usable. It was amazing. And I think there needs to be more of that. I'm excited because I do see that there's going to be more of that in the near future. But there's definitely a lack at DRS. We talk about being a underfunded or under, low resource institution at FAMU, even though we are the #1 public HBCU, we still don't have the resources we need. So think about, those K through 12 kids who have even less than that. I was told today that their softball field doesn't have lights. So how can they play night games? How do they get that experience that our players wanted and got when they was in high school, down in South Florida, Central Florida? How do we make sure that DRS gets that experience? How do we make sure that when we're on the road that we can do something to make sure that they're able to use our field while we're gone, because it's just going to be sitting there. So
Mm-hmm.
being able to have different conversations like that, chalk talk, just come up with some different ideas was amazing. And then hearing the panel, talk about really Coach Wiggins. It was a lot of talk about Coach Wiggins, what she did while she was here, her like, and how it impacted so many lives. It just makes me think about, what kind of impact, like you said, do I want to have in 5 to 10 years? And it's really looking like, how can I help the DRS players get better, learn the fundamentals, so then they're able to potentially come to FAMU, come up the hill, which is their dream school. I think we have a lot of DRS kids who are, transitioning up to our university, but they're not really playing sports because they don't have that foundation. Nobody's given to DRS, everybody's given to FAMU. So that's what I want my legacy to be. Whenever I do decide to stop coaching, is not only did I help our current student athletes, but I also made sure that we were able to bring in more local kids, more of those DRS students who actually are going to be good. That's the big thing. They got to be good.
It's really, I'm glad to hear you say that, because you're bridging that gap. You were talking about that community involvement and getting the community involved. Well, we've talked about this with other sports. There's a fan base right there. I mean, if you can reach those kids and have those kids interested because they've met you, they've met some of the players. They're going to want to come to games, and guess who they're going to bring? They're going to bring mom and dad with them. So it's like whether they get in free or not, hey, they're bringing in mom and dad. You know, we there's a lot of growth that can come from that. You know, and you guys already put on a good show in between innings during the game. So I mean, the kids will have fun. You know, the kids will have fun coming to the games regardless. I wanted to ask you, Kelvin, before I go to you, I wanted to ask Coach about the schedule change which you brought up, and I noticed, that's something that I had missed, that the SWAC contest now you're no longer. What did it used to be? It did like you play on like a Friday and then two
Yeah,
on
we used to
Saturday,
play a
or it was like.
doubleheader on Friday and then one game Saturday, or we play doubleheader Saturday and one game Sunday. But with our sport, especially with us having three pitchers, you got to think about what kind of wear and tear is that putting on our athletes' bodies. We're not asking basketball to play back-to-back games. We don't ask baseball to play back-to-back games. We're not asking,
Mhm.
tennis to have to play 4 matches in a row, doubles and singles. So for the SWAC conference to take the initiative to ask the coaches what they want and for us to really vote and say, yes, we want to play single games just like the SEC, just like ACC, just like the ASUN conference. And for them to actually take the initiative to make that change is huge.
Okay, nice, nice. I love that change, by the way. That's gonna be awesome. Kelvin, go ahead.
So, Coach, I want you to talk about fall. I know that we had a fall season, and did you accomplish what you wanted to accomplish in terms of your limited practices and your scrimmages that you had? And then I want you to talk about the best advice or any advice that your two previous coaches gave you. And are we scheduled? And is our schedule the same? We schedule a really tough out of conference schedule early every year previously. Is that something you want to maintain?
All right. Well, I definitely do want us to schedule harder. I think that there's a presence that we bring that would allow us to beat some of those bigger teams. Not to get so much into the seeding for the tournament or anything, but once we're actually able to face those SEC, ACC teams, those Power Five teams earlier in the season, we feel more prepared that once we win SWAC, I'm not going to say it, but once we win SWAC and we're sent down to Florida or we're sent to Auburn or Alabama, whoever, that we can go toe to toe with them. If we're not scheduling them early in the season, even if it's just 1 or 2 games, then we don't have that confidence. We think that, the best thing we're going to see is a SWAT pitcher maybe throwing 55, 56 miles per hour, when in actuality, we're going to go down the street or right across the street and face somebody who's throwing 70, 72. So, yeah, I do want us to get back to scheduling a little bit harder, especially preseason. And then, like I said, preparing us for the rest of the SWAC conference. And then repeat your first question for me because I got stuck. I was
Uh,
thinking about FSU. We do have a
yeah,
game against FSU this year, so my brain went left.
yeah. So I threw three things at you, Coach. I apologize, but I asked about the scrimmage, the fall. How did the fall season go? And then advice you received from any of the two previous head coaches.
So the fall season went well. My goal is always to go undefeated in the fall. But we went 3-2, which was a huge improvement on last year. Last year, I don't know if it's because we brought in transfers, or we had a couple more freshmen than we had this year. But the team last fall wasn't really gelling too quickly or too well. But this fall, we did a great job. We talked a lot about communication. We got a little bit more personal, and a little bit more vulnerable as a team and as a group. And I think that really helped them come together. I think that, it's different coaching this generation compared to when Coach Wiggins was here. You could be hard nosed. You could tell the kids like you don't care about their personal life and it's all about softball. And they don't got to be friends off the field, as long as they can compete on the field. But with this generation, the way that they're raised, they're going to ask questions. They want to know, well, what do you do when you go home? Like, how do you recover? Like, if you're telling me that I can't have a drink, are you drinking during season? Things like that. And so to be able to open up a little bit and let them in my life has allowed them to open up even more and is really bringing the team together. And that all started in the fall. We actually read a book called The Four Agreements this fall, and they really took to it. We did some team building exercises. We did this thing called True Colors assessment, so learning personalities and how they had to talk to each other based on their color.
Did that.
And it's
Yep.
amazing because they'll be like, Coach P, she's a green, I'm a blue. How
Green.
do I approach her? So being able to have those conversations is amazing.
I can
And
see
it really
that.
brought us in.
I can
It
see
showed up on the
green in you.
field. It's still showing up. Kelvin, I think you're a green, but it's okay. I'm a green too. But yeah, so some of the best advice has definitely come from Coach Wiggins. She's my mentor. I talk to her almost every day, if not every day. She actually just helped me get a plumber for my house. Like she's the person I go to the most about a lot of things. And her advice was just, I got to do things my way. Like remember how it was done in the past. Remember what worked. Keep the tradition, but add your own flair and your own style. That's the best thing because I'm gonna wear the gold chain. I'm gonna have on the J's. I'm gonna have on the LeBrons. I'm gonna keep the fresh kicks. I'm probably gonna be in slacks and a button up versus sweats all the time. My hair is gonna be, I got my side shaved and everything. I'm not gonna have a lot of hair during season because it's gonna be hot. But so for her to give me that advice, and then of course for her to just tell me, that you're doing a good job. I'm proud of you. I see the progress. Is amazing, and I think the worst piece of advice, that's kind of hard because if it don't make sense to me, I'm really not listening to it too much. But I would think the worst piece of advice is you have to keep your softball career and your personal life separate. You got to keep a big separation between coaching and your personal life. And like I said earlier, like with this generation, it don't work. Because if I say, you got to do this because I said so, or because that's what I said, or they're gonna look at me and they're gonna walk off the field. So being able to say, hey, like here's what I went through when I was a player. Here was my experience. I want you to take what I'm telling you and run with it, or do something different. Being able to open up about, how do I live my life? Has just allowed them to really trust me, because that's the biggest thing for us. If they don't trust you as a coach, they're not gonna run through a wall for you. So building that trust with them by letting them in my life a little bit more has definitely been the best thing for me.
Yeah.
All right, Kofi. Go ahead with the next question. Kind of close it out here with Coach, if you would.
All right. So, you spoke a lot. You've given us a lot to really chew on. Um, what is your vision for a summer camp?
Oh, so we're gonna have two of them. We're gonna have two summer camps. Working on the dates right now. Working on making sure we get the correct approval through administration. Every administration we have has their own process. So making sure I work closely with Tiffany on AD sites to make sure that however her process is, that I do it the way that she needs it done for it to be approved. But we actually we had a winter camp 2 weeks ago. So I love camps and clinics. I don't understand why we haven't been having them in the past, but I love to do them. I'll go off campus to do them. So to be able to bring recruits on campus, not only does that save us money, I feel like I've talked a lot about money and budgets and stuff like that, but it not only does it save us money from having to go out and recruit, but then it brings our prospective student athletes to campus, and then we're not also spending official visits on trying to get them here. So I think it's a win-win. It puts money back to the program, puts some money in our assistant coaches' pockets, and it helps all around. So my vision is to have a camp of at least 50 kids. Last 2 weeks ago, we had 34, so we're getting closer. But if we have 50 kids, like I said, it just elevates the competition. If FSU can have a camp with over 400 people, why can't we?
Wow, wow, definitely, definitely. Well, hey, Coach, when that camp information is ready, please, you have to make sure we get a hold of it so that we can
Definitely.
to share it. We're looking like we're going to be at a few games this year. We might even do a show. We're
Oh,
one of our friends of our program, Janiyah Davis, is a friend of the show. So I mean,
yeah,
we got love. So we got love for Janiyah and the rest of the team. So we definitely got to come to a game. We do something. Hopefully, we got to work it out with the office and kind of find a way. And I like the fact that now there's like a game a day. So it's like we could do a whole build up, a pre-show like on a Saturday or something before the game. I'm spitballing. I'm an ideas person, coach. I'm just spitballing ideas here.
I love
And
it.
we'll find yeah, Kofi's the implementer. We send Kofi out to make it happen. So I mean that's how we roll. And then Kelvin's the money man, so he gonna find the money to make it happen. So
I need to talk to Kelvin. We need to talk. You got that money. I'm coming for you. I will say this. We are having our first ever fan day this Saturday at 1 p.m. on the Hill at the FAMU softball stadium. Y'all come out, support. We're gonna scrimmage. Because we only got 18, it's gonna look a little crazy, but it's gonna work well. So 1 p.m. to about 3 or 4, and then after that, we're gonna raffle off a jersey with all the athlete signature on it, and we're gonna go from there. So we're ready. I'm ready. I'm excited to get started. Like you said, you're an ideas guy. I'm an ideas lady. I like to, spitball things and put some different things in motion because, you know, we've never won a SWAC championship, so we got to do things different. And so I think that engaging the community, having free events, having more interaction between the softball team and the community is going to take us really far.
Ooh, Kelvin, look, if I can't, I'm not gonna be far away. If I can't make it, I got to send you some money to get raffled off on that jersey. I need to put something on my wall back here. So I don't know how much I got to send to you, Kelvin, but we'll talk offline. So that's 1 o'clock Saturday at the softball field, fan day. Hey, you got 18, so that's 9v9, coach. I mean, if I do the math right, that's 2 teams, right? One orange, one green,
Yeah,
huh?
if everybody's healthy, we got 9 and 9.
Yeah. We'll pray for health on everybody. Coach, let me give you a final word here before we close out. Any final shout outs, social media plugs, anything you want to plug? I want to give you the final word here.
Yeah, I'll say go follow us on social media at FAMU Softball on IG and Twitter. Go follow me. I'm Coach P _softball on IG. I don't have a Twitter account. Somebody created a fake one for me. That's not me, y'all. And then of course go follow FAMU Athletics. And then I got a plug. Y'all see me over here drinking my water. Social Vegan. If you haven't been there yet, you need to go. They're a black-owned vegan spot right down the road in Frenchtown. So y'all go check them out because they do a lot for us.
Real quick, Coach Patterson, what is the budget for a camp?
So like how much does it cost to run a camp, or how much do we typically
Yes,
make from a camp or to run a camp? So
just
actually
overall
I run the
budget to.
camps through my Okay, I run the camps through my business. So the university gives us two options. Either we can run it through them, and then we have to pay the university for using their name, image, and likeness, or you can run it through your business. So I do have my own business. It's called CAP Fitness LLC. I'm also a personal trainer and a certified nutrition coach. I actually have a nutrition shop here in town called Strike Nutrition. So shout out to Strike Nutrition. Love y'all over there. And so what I do, I run it through my business. And so typically, I don't pay myself too much. I try and pay the assistants more because they're making a lot less than I am. So I would say anywhere from including insurance and the website, $1,000 maybe for just to get the camp up and running. Because insurance is
That's
expensive,
it.
especially with kids. Yeah, but you got to think, like FSU. I'm gonna talk about them for a second. But FSU charges anywhere from $250 to $400 a camp. It's really hard for our community to justify paying that for a camp, so we don't charge as much. We charge 120, $100. So it takes a lot more girls for us to get up those numbers. So if we had 10 players, we just then covered the cost of camp, not even including paying the assistant coaches. So, that's why I don't take too much of it home. I try and make sure they're taken care of because I remember how it was as a volunteer and as an assistant.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes you hit that struggle bus and that camp money come through and you feel great. So, we could charge more, but I do think that it's an asset that we charge a little bit less than the going rate.
Last question. So if you had 10 grand, that would what for you? What would that mean for you?
Personally, I'm good. Let me stop.
For the
For
for
the
the camp.
program, for the camp, if we had 10 grand for the camp, man, that would actually allow us to have more of a community based camp. So I would want to run a free camp for the local schools here. And that means that I can still pay the assistants. I can still pay for, pay myself. I can still pay whoever's helping, pay the insurance for, the rent for having the field. And then the local community would actually be able to come out for free. So I wouldn't even use that to necessarily get more balls and more equipment. I would use that, well, we're going to save this and we're going to pay everybody who comes out, have more college coaches there, maybe have an HBCU camp, and let the people come for free. Let the Black young ladies come to a camp for free because nobody's doing that right now. Everything costs money. And when you think about how expensive our sport is to start with, the bat is $500. A glove is $300. Cleats are
Wow.
$100. Then you got the uniform. So you're looking at $1,000 before you even hit a bat with the ball. So I would want to provide something for the community for them to come out and learn, like a weekend for them just to learn more about the sport, like the fundamentals, how to get recruited, because a lot of them don't know how to get recruited. They're out here just blind, and then they wonder why they can't come to FAMU. So I will use it for that.
All right. Hey,
Armando, 10
Coach.
grand.
Yeah, we got to make sure that you get your businesses over to that second annual Black Business Expo Tallahassee that's coming up on February 25th. I'll be reading a plug here in just a moment, Coach, just in case you didn't know. So you make sure you make sure you get those. Oh, here we go, right there. So
There it
that's going to
is.
be taking place on February 25th at the Moon. Brought to you by Mega Ace Media and the Tallahassee Leon County Office of Economic Vitality. So you make sure I'll read more to plug here later, Coach, and then you get them over to that, and you get and a $15,000 grant could help somebody out, right? So
Heck yeah.
definitely. Definitely. All right. We're 8 days away from the start of the season. Make sure you guys follow. Hey, go donate. Go donate. I mean, it's that time of the season. Put a little reserve when a little tax money comes in too. Let's make sure to donate to FAMU softball. They're traveling. If you're in the Atlanta, Georgia area, it's a Mercer
Yep.
tournament. So, hey, great opportunity to watch FAMU softball beginning the 8th. No, the 9th and 10th, I believe. The 9th
The
and
9th
10th.
and 10th. Yep.
9th and 10th are the dates, 8 days away. I'm excited, Coach. Look, we already excited. We got Janiyah coming on next week, so we'll talk to her, build up the excitement, and then Rattler Nation will be all over Atlanta supporting you ladies on, all right?
Yes, sir.
All
Good
right.
luck, Coach.
Hey,
Good luck.
yeah, good luck this year, Coach. Thank you. We'll talk again soon, all right?
All right. Thank you, y'all. Y'all have a good night.